That reminds me, you just spoke about a book you wrote, and you're talking about pamphlets. You turn 60 soon, and we understand that you also have about 21 books so far.
There are 21 books. Now, I can break them down for you. I'm going to turn 60 on 5th September, next Tuesday. And these 21 books will be delivered that day in one location in Abuja at NAF Conference Center in Kado. Now, these books deal with philosophy, aesthetics, politics, literature, peace, conflict resolution. It deals with creative literature, poems, novels, short stories, all tissues of life and existence that appeal to me from the time I was a little boy to the stage in which today I'm going to turn 60. So it is an offering for Nigerian people. It is not just my own personal creation. I believe that a scholar and intellectual has a duty to spread knowledge and for people to participate in that art of sharing that knowledge. Again, going to be a conference on how to make Nigeria work. That means I'm not celebrating anything there to please myself or empower my soul with food or drinks, but how do you offer to the people of this country opportunity to penetrate your mind and see whether that mind can intersect between what we call intellection and praxis, the intellectual production of a scholar and the practical involvement in the social, political, cultural, and ideological struggles of the day. That I defined my life in the past 30, 40 years. So the combination of that struggle to balance intellect and balance it with struggle and practice is what led to these 21 books that culminate in the celebration of my 60th birthday.
A while ago you mentioned Arrow of God. And we'll still talk about these great giants. And here you are. Yes, great giants. How much of learning, have we been able to get from some of these texts that have helped our growth as a people?
The problem is that people, and I'm happy this culture didn't even start from here. In the past, Things Fall Apart wasn't studied as a literature text, as a sociological text. In European and American universities, go and investigate. So they believe that his acuteness of imagination was so coherent and legitimate that you can use a creative fiction to study the culture of a people, their mode of governance, their rituals, the art of their belief system, their cosmology. So Things Fall Apart disrupted a whole lot of things. It disrupted the way aesthetic productions occur.
I want us to talk about that, the aesthetics, the revolution.
Okay, this one is Rebels in Youthhood, and then you have to scribbles.
No, there was one before this.
Okay, if this I wrote when I was 13 years.
While you were 13?
6 of the volumes were written between 13 and 14 years. There are 17 texts I did then. So this is aesthetics.
Revolutionary aesthetics.
This is actually domestication of Marxist aesthetic philosophy into the Nigerian African cultural and aesthetic space. What did I do? I said the main driver of African literary and cultural development, and by extension political evolution, has to be contestation between imperialism and between African resurgence. That means Pan-Africanist origin for decolonization, now we call decoloniality, can only occur when we mobilize the agency of Marxist dialectics in helping us to come out of this.
Can we link that to grassroots governance and what's happening in Gabon and Niger?
The way I can link it up there is that the model I chose is a model in which democratization is not just a rhetorical device, or there is a constitution, or we have a parliament, there is a president sitting in office, there is a governor. No, democracy must emanate from the people. That's why I find the art, ideology, and social commitment in African poetry. To be committed in poetry, for example, is to show capacity to understand the needs of the society, the viewpoints of the people, the way and manner they expect reality to impinge on them, the way and manner they expect society to react to them. So the poet is a poet of the people. He's like a recanter, he's like a groy. So society can only grow when the mass of the people participate in the drama of creative productions. So literature, the kind of literary things I investigate is to how do you use these productions to mobilize the soul of the people? How do you use it to create agencies of resistance, of counter-hegemonies? How do you use it to mobilize the people that the government of the day left on their own will not do what you want them to do for you? You must take the government almost at the order while you are the other self. You must therefore pursue government and governance to extract from the government as much as possible that the docility and quietude will never secure for you expectations in life. This literature empowers your soul and gives you the sense of ideological clarity and direction that you must build communities, interconnect among yourself and say, Mr. Governor, Mrs. Governor, Mr. Local Chairman, we the people know why we put you there. and we can hold you accountable. Radical literature helps you in doing that. Cultural production that explores the space of the people in contestation against authorities will help you to achieve it. That's my passion at that level. There are some other words of mine dealing with peace building. Nigerian peace and security architecture is not skewed to solve any meaningful problem. It's a post-war device to hold the nation. That means law and order is a key element in that architecture. Today, people urge for human infrastructure, human security development. If you don't build up education, if you don't build up health services, if you don't public works, if you don't empower people, today we are gripped by new threats. Boko Haram terrorism, banditry, disruptions across the country, pipeline vandalization, and possible collapse of democratic governance in the post-colonies of West Africa and Central Africa. These are all consequences of not being alert to the needs of society. So governance is where you secure legitimacy, not through constitutional text. You have constitutional text and election periodically done, but without impacting on the life of people, you lose legitimacy. And when you lose it, people can become urging. They can urge themselves to seek for self-help. Sometimes that self-help undermines democratic governance, as you find in Burkina Faso, you find in Mali, you find in Nigeria, Gabon recently. It's a sign and a signal, not to win the big stick alone, but to ask the question leaders are asking. P2B, Atiku, and the rest of them are asking these questions. What has gone wrong with governance in Africa? Some of these works I've done can help you to clarify the answer to that problem.
Because we all certainly need an answer to that. I'd like to thank you for your time, and I do hope that we'll have more conversations. 21 books at 60, all from Professor Udenta. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.